And team, actually, I have sent you this Angular PDF. Okay, just to read through this PDF document once for your assessment. And in that, like we discussed almost everything, like routing we discussed and services we discussed. So after service, there would be one small topic called parent-child component interaction. Okay, using the directives at input and output. So this is one simple implementation we need to learn. It is loading. All right. And then, like we discussed about forms, template-driven forms, reactive forms. So that was the topic. And one thing like RESTful API is there, and you're like we'll be discussing this in the advanced again in Angular. Like we'll be discussing about this, right? So now, what is this at input at output directive? Parent-child component interaction means what? We know that in Angular, like we have the root component, which is called the app component. Okay. So now I'm creating one new component. Let's name it test component. I want to share some data from app component to test component. How can I share the data from app to test? App component is the root parent and test component is the child, which means it is inside app component, right? So how can I pass some data from parent to child? And that is where we will use at input directive. Okay. If you want to pass some data from parent to child, whereas at output is used to pass some data from child to parent. Parent to child is at input, child to parent is at output directive, right? So now here, like we have a simple example for that. So we have app component, the root component TS file. In that file, we have got a variable public name is equal to some blah, blah, blah. Now, from this HTML, I just want to share this data from the parent component to the child component. So here, I just want to get the data and I just want to print the data. That's it. So just 2 lines code. So prior to that, we need to create a project. We need to create a child component also. So let's go and create that and then we'll come back to implement this change. Okay. So, right. So we have app component HTML here. And now let's say, let me create another component. So ng generate component and let's name it child. Okay, let's say user. Okay, skip test. We forget. Okay, let it be. So now it's supposed to create another component. So this is what we call root component. Inside the root component, within the root component, we will create one more child component, that is the user. Okay, so it will get created. It is getting created. Let's wait till that. And next to what we have to do is we just need to declare a variable in the app component.ts file, and we need to get the data in the child component using at input directive. And let's do that. Okay, let it get loaded. By that time, we have app component.ts file, and here let's say name is equals Vinod. Okay, so we declared a variable. Okay, and where it is declared in the app component.ts. And now where we wanted this data in the user component. Let me check it. It is taking a long time. Okay, so user component got created. So here it is. Now what we'll do, okay, remove this spec.ts file. Let's delete it. Okay, that's first thing we'll do. And next, we'll go to user component and let's select this tag. This is child component, okay? User component is the child component. So we select this tag selector and we'll go to parent component and let's add this. So now we can see that in the parent component, we have the child component, isn't it? So this is parent component. Inside the parent component, we have child component. Now let's check the browser for the output. Okay, so in the background, something else is started. So my machine hangs down. Okay. Okay, so now the child component is working. Now, what we wanted the next step, I just want to pass some data from parent to actually this child component. So to do that, what we are going to do is we will be using a property binding. So here you see, so this is my parent components template. In that HTML, we just added a tag. Now in the tag, we are going to pass this variable, okay, with some property. Okay, it can be any property. So let's pass that. So here, okay, my data or okay, let's use this itself. Parent data equals, and the variable is name, right? So let's confirm. So here we have the variable name. So we are passing that variable through this tag. Okay. Now we we don't have, we need a variable in the child component. Okay. And we don't have any quick fixes. So now let's go to child component TS file. And here we have to receive the data. Okay. We have to receive the data and we have to display the data. And for that, we are going to use this at input directive. Here it is at input a variable. This variable name must match with this property name. Okay, that's very important. So it's super easy at input. The variable name is, let's say, okay, parent data. And here, let's say, okay, name equals, okay, public. Just declare. And we need to import this. So, yes, we have to import it. Go to quick fix and call the decorator at input. So automatically the input will get updated here. Okay, and parent data, we have got it. Let's keep this declaration at the top. Okay, and next we are going to use parent data implicitly has any type. Yes, let it be any type. And now we are going to use this parent data in the HTML. But actually, this variable is not declared here. This variable is declared in the parent. From the parent, the data will come to the child component and we are going to use. So user, let's say welcome user, and what is the name? It is parent data. Okay, let's save it. Fantastic. We got the output. Welcome user Vinod. So now from where Vinod is coming. Vinod is coming from parent. Okay, here Vinod is declared in the parent component, but we wanted it in the child component. And how we achieved? We just declared the variable and we passed this data through parents HTML where we have the child tag. We passed the data and in the child component, we retrieved the data with the help of input decorator and we were using this data in the HTML file. So this is how the flow from parent to child. Now the same way, if you want to send some data from child to parent, we can use at output directive. Okay. So output directive can be used. But actually from parent to child, it is easy. Through tag you can pass. But for child to parent, we need some event. Okay, click event or some event emitter is required. So now what we'll do, in child component, we will create some data and we'll pass from here. And for that, we are going to use output directive and we need to create an object for event emitter. And then in the HTML, we will have a click button and sorry, we will have a button. If you click the button, it will call send message function. Now through send message function, we will be sending some data from the child to the parent. It will come here and the message will be displayed. Okay. The child even will be receiving the message and will be displaying it here, the message. Now let's try doing that step by step. So first in the child component, we need an event emitter instance. So let's create the event emitter instance in the child component. At input is ready now. The same way, let's have at output public. Okay, let's say child event equals new event emitter. Okay, so okay. At output and event emitter is being, we have got it. The next step, we need a button. So let's go for a button. Click me or send the data from child to parent. Okay, so let's have a click event. And if you click on it, it will call a function send MSG. Okay. So now we need to create send MSG function. And there, this dot child event dot emitter. And here, whatever the data we want to pass, we can pass it. Okay, let's say RNT BCI. Okay, so we created the event emitter instance and we created a button here, a button, and the function is ready. In the function, we are emitting whatever the data we wanted from this child. Next step, we need to catch this in the parent. To catch that, we will use the same child event, whatever the variable name here. We have used the same name. We have to use it here also. Okay, child event equals variable. We just declare a variable and to the variable, whatever the value comes from child, we are going to get that message equals $event. Let's get it. Go to parent and we can include where is parents HTML. Okay. So the first one is for at input, sending data from parent to child. Now it is child to parent. And for that, child event. Okay. And we need a variable. Let's declare a variable message equal $event. That's it. Now we need a variable message. So let's come here and MSG is of type, let's say any, good. And we will display this here, MSG. Okay, let's save it. Child event equals message we sent it, and we are going to display that. Property subscribe does not exist on type event emitter. Okay. Event emitter, quick fish. No. Okay, let's save it. So actually event emitter from Angular core, the same class is being used in many places, and that's why the confusion is. Okay, now let's check out. Okay, welcome user Vinod. So parent to child is working now. Let's click on it. Fantastic. Child to parent is returning. Now this is what at input and output. So if you have two different components, you can communicate between the component using these at input and output directive, right?